Thanks for watching this short video. Its focus is on tracking sales tax inside of QuickBooks Online. Simple Start, Essentials, and Plus all support the ability to track sales tax on customers. Not particularly on vendors. I suppose you could use a product and service item for that, some kind of service or non-inventory part for that. And of course, if you have just a lot of nexus going on and a lot of crazy sales tax in your area and it's tough to keep up on it, I do encourage the third-party app called Avalara Tax. You might have heard it as Avatax, but you can go to avalara.com. They handle all that more complicated stuff. I would like to say right off the bat, the real gap between, say, how desktop tracks sales tax and how QuickBooks Online does is in the reporting. And the sales tax liability report does not have a non-taxable sales column. So there's another report you can run in tandem with that. That's usually the workaround. But just so you know up front, and you're not missing anything, there's just no non-taxable sales column on the sales tax liability report in QuickBooks Online. All right, for me, sales tax is pretty much just on, particularly when you're converting from desktop. Even your sales tax group items will come over as combination items, or we'll look what the terminology is. But you'll find it under taxes. If you have the new left-hand panel, you'll see sales tax and payroll tax, assuming you have payroll turned on. Obviously, they're separate things. If you have the other left-hand panel, soon everybody will have something more like this you're seeing on the left, but at least at the time of this video, one of my files has. But you might have home and customers, vendors, transactions, etc. And you'll still see taxes in the lower left, and it'll break out between sales tax versus payroll tax, right? And if you have no payroll in your file, then you'll just see sales tax anyway. And this is really the sales tax center, typically where you're brought. There's no real other windows that deal with tax that I can really show you, except we'll look at the products and service list, but there's no sales tax items there. Post-conversion from desktop, you will see them there, but you're not going to use them again. Basically, you can add and edit the tax rates and agencies right here. And when you're looking at the sales tax center, it really does group everything by the agency you're paying. So if we click on Add Edit Tax Rates and Agencies, might as well start there. And I'll show you a company setting that is involved when you're like passing through expense and you want to make sure the customer is taxed. So we'll look at that. Kind of makes you think when you're looking at it, oh, you can track vendor tax, but that's not really what it is. So here are my sales tax rates and agencies. Most of these obviously are pretty familiar to those who use desktop for a while, because clearly I brought in Rockcastle Construction or something like that. Here, this one is a combined rate. So I should say a combo rate. That would be more akin to a sales tax group item in desktop. And then I have my East Bay Shore, out of state, etc. And I can click new here. And this is where you can enter a single tax rate. You need to put in the agency name because that's who you're going to be paying. And that's really how we group our reports, by agency. And then you have the rate there. Or if it's a combined rate, right, you name it and then you add the components that go into that particular combined sales tax rate. You're not going to see sales tax in expenses or vendors either. And there's no vendors menu dropdown looking to find pay sales tax where you can make a sales tax adjustment. Right? So if we go back to return sales tax and what's owed, you'll see the tax amount that's owed for me, my taxable sales, gross sales, for the State Board of Equalization, whatever sales tax rate I have linked to that particular agency, and the balance. And I can go pay it here, record the tax payment. And then it shows me a grid of my recent sales tax payments as well and when I paid them. Now, what about when you want to make an adjustment? You click record tax payment, and then here you can check off this box, make adjustment. Then you can enter the adjustment amount, the reason if you want, and then you can choose the actual account that you're going to offset it to. So it is its own kind of sales tax adjustment, but you have to access that from the actual payment, the sales tax payment window. So I can just pay this and choose to print a check or what have you, and that would take care of the sales tax payment. But that's where you go to make a sales tax adjustment. So you'll use this window to track things clearly. Also, when we go to reports, and you're going to go to all reports, you'll have this manage sales tax. And if we look at the sales tax liability report, it's going to show my taxable amount based on taxable sales. Now, if we go back to the report list, so not as full as that sales tax liability report in desktop, but I can go to taxable sales detail and look at all the detail, and then I can customize this, and I could choose for either customers taxable or not, or products and services taxable or not, in order to kind of get that non-taxable sales, if you will, to use this report, this taxable sales detail report, in tandem with the sales tax liability report to get that other column that you need. Or some will use the taxable sales summary report as well, customize this. And again, whether customer is taxable or not, that can help to filter that for more of a non-taxable sales summary, if you will. Because at the customer level, if we go to sales and we look at the customer list itself, and I'll just pick on, one particular customer and look at their details, I can set a default tax code at the customer level. And if we go to the gear icon in products and services, if you're setting up an item or do you have one, just edit it. And this is where I can make this item particularly default. This is where I can make this item as default to taxable. So when I do go to a sales receipt or an invoice, go to the plus sign. Let's do a quick sales receipt here. So I'm selling this appliance to Christy. It came in as taxable already, though you can overwrite it when you're on the sales form itself, whether you're on an invoice or sales receipt. And then I have the actual sales tax item I'm using, and this $38.75 would be the actual tax, and that's what I'd owe whenever I owe it. Back on the sales tax liability report, I drill in on the $131.75, and there are my two receipts, that I've done for that, one on the 6th and one on the 9th. It tells me the tax name, etc. Now, the setting that I think is relatable, if you go to the gear icon and accountant setting, once you're in here, click on expenses. Nowhere else can I find anything you can turn on or off regarding sales tax. Now, unless I'm just not looking hard enough. But in this top section, they have a charge sales tax box, right? And this is for when I am, passing stuff through, to an invoice, and I want the items or expenses to require sales tax, for the customer. Then you can definitely check that box if that's the case. Again, on my products and services list, I shouldn't see any sales tax items. I mean, there's no type for it. It's all going to be in that sales tax center where you set up the rates and the agencies. And that sales tax center is kind of grouped by the agency and what's owed to the agency itself. And you find that under taxes, and then you'll see sales tax. Have a great day.